I draw my inner power or my inner Shakti
yes.
from, I guess, three things. The
Okay.
first thing is to learn about yourself. So discovering who you are, having a sense of identity, and this really helps with your self-confidence or your self-esteem. And it's not like a one-shot thing, right? Sometimes it really takes time to become confident or to really know yourself.
So here with me, I have the most impressive and incredible Prav Hirom, who is the Deputy Chief of Party at USAID in enhancing equality in energy for Southeast Asia. Prior to her role with USAID here in Thailand, she was part of the sustainability efforts at Central, at Pace Development Group, and then she was also a principal consultant at EAM. She was also one of the spearhead leaders at creating the SASIN Center for Sustainability Management. And prior to that, she did management consulting with AWR Lloyd. So tell us a little bit more about the role that you do with USAID, exactly what USAID does and what they stand for, and also specifically the gender inequality in energy.
Absolutely. USAID is the United States Agency for International Development, and actually this year, 2021, marks their 60th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
In my program, E4C is the short name, we do address climate change and energy and the role of women and gender equality, so not just men and women, but all genders. How can we make the energy sector more diverse and why, right? So the starting point is, why are we addressing this? Why are we putting so much effort into this for 3 years?
Yeah.
It's basically because the energy sector is really, really important for Asia Pacific's growth.
Yeah.
Because all the growth is happening in Asia now compared to decades ago when all the growth was very much on in the in North America and in Europe, but now the attention is very much on Asia. And so how can you ensure sustainable development in Asia? You have to ensure inclusivity. You have to have women's participation in the socio-economic growth as well.
Absolutely.
And the energy sector is very key to development, right? We can't do anything without energy, without power. I mean, imagine your phone, I have a solar powered, I have a solar panel for charging my flashlight on my phone, but you can't just live on that right now. We're not there yet, but we really rely on different types of energy resources, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very male dominated sector. And so this program addresses why it would be a business benefit to have more women.
That's amazing. That's really incredible. Especially, I think there's so much focus now in, I have 2 little children, and when I purchase toys or anything, a lot of options are now STEM or STEAM. And how do we cultivate kind of that, that interest for STEM, especially in girls?
I love this question. I really love that you mentioned both STEM and STEAM.
Okay.
So science, technology, engineering, and math, and then and STEAM has the A in it, so it's the arts, right?
Okay.
And I think it's really important for parents and for anybody to be aware of these acronyms, especially when you have kids around you, because in the previously, I think in the past there's been a lot of emphasis on specific gender roles, and kids grow up with that. Historically, there haven't been enough women and girls pursuing STEM at all, and that's why we have several male-dominated industry sectors, right?
Yeah.
And so how to begin, how to encourage parents, how to inspire both boys and girls in the sciences or technology, engineering, and math. I think it's both STEM and non-STEM, right? It's also the arts and the other acronym is HAS. It's humanities, arts, and social sciences.
Okay.
So I think the key word is give the kids as much exposure to everything as much as possible.
Equally.
Equally, right?
Yeah,
And don't say that this is only for boys and this is only for girls. That's a great first step, is to have the awareness that we do have gender terminology, and we do have different expectations for boys and girls, and how can we address that? How can we talk about it? And what can we change to inspire them both equally?
I also think that STEM education for girls and even for boys, there's so much value. There's this one this one amazing nonprofit in the U.S. It's called Girls Garage. It's based in
I love it.
California. It's
Yeah.
amazing, and it's just a workshop. It's like a garage. It's a workshop for girls to come after school and build robotics and come up with solutions. And that's really inspiring because it makes you think differently. Whether you are going in engineering or not, you think different. Do you have any tips on how to encourage this kind of education for children?
Yeah, I think the best model that I've seen was from an international school here in Thailand, actually. And they, because they have to prepare their kids very early on, like since grade 1 for the International Baccalaureate, the IB, they really address SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, from like, I don't know if it's grade 1, but I went to meet with a bunch of fourth graders, and they all knew SDGs.
Wow.
And I think that is like the shortcut to getting kids to feel like they know about the world. They know a little bit about the world, and they know that there are these issues, there are these problems, and that they have the ability to solve these problems. Like that. If we encourage them with problem solving skills, give them a lot of exposure to like, why do we have these 17 SDGs? Like why are these the areas of importance for them, for their future? Like this is all about them. It's not really for us anymore. Like we don't have that much long to solve these huge problems, but they're going to inherit the world that we've inherited from our parents and our grandparents and great grandparents, and it's pretty messed up, right?
Yeah,
so
can you explain a little bit about the SDGs?
Sure, yeah. So the Sustainable Development Goals, there's 17 of them, and they vary from gender equality, right? So this is addressed in my program, right? And access to education, access to clean and affordable energy is really important, because if you don't have access to these things, right, then we'll always have PM 2.5, and it might become PM 5.2 one day, right? So it's really about greenhouse gases and reducing carbon emissions, and this is why the energy sector is really crucial. So if we introduce even to elementary school kids to these notions that you have a very comfortable life because we have energy, we have power, and it's powered by these companies, and it started with scientists who discovered energy and Einstein and all these things. It's so much fun. Like education can be so much fun, but it has to be more hands-on learning.
So one thing I know that you spoke about previously before is mentorship. And at the Shakti, we so believe in mentorship, because how else do you pass on information, right? And if we're lucky enough to get good mentors and people we can learn and gain from, or pass down information to others that are still just beginning their careers. Any tips for either both sides, for someone looking for a mentor and also for someone who's looking to kind of mentor somebody else?
Yeah, sure. Mentoring, I didn't realize how important it was until, very late in the game. And I'm so lucky to have so many great mentors in my life, both female and male. But I think that kids should really feel entitled to getting mentors, I think that should be a new thing for millennials and Gen Z, because they're like all about themselves anyway, right? So grab yourself a mentor, get yourself an amazing mentor, because the mentor would be really happy as well. Like I was part of this mentoring program. This program is great. It focuses on mentees that are in Asia. But the mentors are from all over the world, so they have access to these amazing, largely women, who are the mentors for the girls in Asia. And I was one of the mentors for what they call a rising star, and that's so empowering. You have girls from all walks of life, and you're encouraging them to pursue their studies and helping them with their connections for their career prospects and things like that. So that's one thing, but that's for like older students, right? I think for really young kids, I think it's great to introduce this idea of having mentors beyond your parents and your immediate circle. And to have somebody who is safe, and verified by your parents.
Yeah.
If you're very young, to have a coach or a mentor. And then when you become a teenager, and I think that's even more important, because when you're a teenager, you have all these issues, right?
Yeah, sure.
and we often feel as teenagers a lot of angst, and we don't really know how to talk it out with people who are older than us, and that's why teenagers kind of stick to themselves. And I think that introducing this idea of mentorship at a early age, or during the tween years, I think would be really, really helpful, especially to girls, because I didn't have that, and when I realized that I had these great mentors, it was already when I was working, but what if you can give this to girls earlier?
Yeah.
So I would totally support that.
Oh, that's so brilliant. When I was asking the question, I was thinking about mentorship, for kids that are just starting their careers, whether it's college kids or maybe even high school. But I think it's so true. I think if you start young, then there isn't a fear of asking a mentor, or approaching somebody to become a mentor.
Yes. I just love the keyword that you said, asking. I don't think we encourage especially girls, or maybe it's even boys too these days. Boys are very quiet sometimes. I think we should encourage kids to ask a lot of questions. Kids already naturally ask a lot of questions when they're really young.
Sure.
But then when they become teenagers, it's like
they stop asking. Actually, that's a good point. They stop asking.
Yeah. So I think for parents, if you have tweens or teens, if you see that asking is not really there, maybe talk to them about having a mentor who's outside their immediate circle, or if your kid really likes to ask questions, get other people to answer them. It doesn't have to be a burden just on the parents all the time.
True. Yeah. And it's good. It's a good learning. Yeah. And I think you also mentioned a coach, and I know actually I'm some older kids that now have life coaches, and I love that, because I feel like schools, even though we get so much with social interaction and education, there's so much that we need to learn, before you become a teenager, right? How do you navigate weird situations, social situations, and having a life coach, and whether that's learning mindfulness or learning about just relationships and dealing with anger and angst. That's so important, and I think a mentor could be assisting in that sense as well. Yeah. So that's so wonderful. Now, switching gears a little bit more, how do you derive your inner Shakti?
The first thing is to learn about yourself. So discovering who you are, having a sense of identity, and this really helps with your self-confidence or your self-esteem. And it's not like a one-shot thing, right? Sometimes it really takes time to become confident, or to really know yourself. So if I could tell my younger self how to be more empowered, I would say that it just takes time, that it's boundless. There is no limitation. If you're feeling limited and weak, that is not it, that you're going to grow, and it's really boundless. The second thing is getting in touch, or being in touch with nature. That's what I lacked growing up, and I think that nature really teaches you so much. It actually teaches you everything. I mean, Dhamma, right? Yeah. Dhamma is nature. Yep. And observation is really key, and you will just learn naturally from nature. And then the third thing is values, right? So you can draw values from loved ones, your surrounding, how you grew up. If you're lucky, you get really great values from your parents. If not, you can draw values from within yourself, or from a lot of inspiration, whether they're people or things or books or anything. So I think those are three really key factors for empowering yourself, and it's a lifelong journey. It's not like you wake up one day and say, I want to feel empowered, and it just happens. It's really a learning process, and I think another key thing is to pay it forward, to pass it along. If you're feeling weak, help somebody else, because they will feel better and you will feel better as well.
Yep. Giving is living. So, do you have a morning routine? We think it's super important to have a morning routine. Everybody works differently. Evening routine, morning routine, but something to get your day started. We would love to learn more.
I am not a morning person at all, I confess. And so I think my only morning routine, which is a must, is to take a shower. If I don't shower in the morning, then sometimes I have to rush and I have to just dart out immediately, and then it's not a good hair day, and it's not fresh, and so I think my only thing is
get a shower.
Good a shower.
Okay,
a good
awesome. Any kind of practices you do to kind of have a control of your emotional well-being and your mental health? Any tips and tricks?
Yeah, I think the key word is just meditation. And meditation is not just, sitting down and closing your eyes and being inside your head and torturing yourself. I mean, it's a lot of that, but it's really about breathing exercises. So when I don't have a lot of time, I don't dedicate a lot of time to meditation, but whenever I can, and especially when I'm anxious, then I come back to my breathing, inhaling and exhaling. And I think it's the best way. I do it when I swim. I do it when I'm walking. I do it when I'm angry. I do it when I'm happy.
So this is like you're focusing on your breath.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Just bringing your awareness to your breath.
Yeah.
So it like calms you down.
Right. And Vipassana is basically acknowledging what is happening, right? So if you're thinking a thought, then you acknowledge that thought and you try to let it go. You don't hold on to it.
You don't hold on to it. And then what's in Vipassana, which is Buddhist, how do they suggest you let it go? By focusing on the breath?
Yes, you can keep coming back to your breath, or you can focus on an object. I mean, it really depends on you. People have different methods to do it.
Okay, so it's like different ways, essentially, to bring your mind back to center.
Yeah.
Okay, now my favorite question. What are your favorite books?
Oh
Fiction or nonfiction? I love this question.
This was the second hardest question, and I have so many.
That was my second favorite question.
There's so many favorite books, but if I really had to choose one fiction and one nonfiction that really changed my life, so the first one is fiction, and it's The Stranger by Albert Camus. Yeah, L'Étranger, and that really changed my mindset when I was in high school reading this in English class. I was just like, oh my God, like existentialism. And then nonfiction would be The Politics of the Artificial by Victor Margolin. And it doesn't sound like, it is not what it sounds like. It's not about,
just gonna say.
It's not about politics, and it's not about artificial intelligence. The Politics of the Artificial is about design.
Okay.
So I studied design, and we had to read this book during our design studies in the first year of industrial design. Because
very cool.
It addresses the man-made world that we live in, and it really makes you conscious and grateful, actually, of the things that we make, the things that we live in, the built environments, the objects that we surround ourselves with, and not to take it for granted. Otherwise, everything that we create becomes trash. So this is very much like my sustainability journey is from a book like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I have so many other books. So the other one would be Natural Capitalism by Paul Hawken. Okay. Very similar.
Awesome. Well, we'll write these books in the caption so that anyone can take a read if they want to. How do you find inspiration?
So easy. I'm like very easily stimulated, very easily inspired. You put me in any space, you give me anything, show me anything, and I can draw inspiration.
Prayer, that's pretty much my last question. And now, just to close, if somebody wants to reach out to you or get in touch with you, what's the best way? Okay,
please feel free to email me at prae@coreintl.com. That's PRAE at COREINTL.com, or to find me on Twitter, and I think my handle is Pranes, so it's PRAENESS.
Okay, great. Well, we'll also leave the details below.
Sure.
But Prae has been an incredible inspiration to me and would be an amazing, mentor or just someone to seek knowledge and information from. So she's been very kind with her time and incredible inspiration, as you, I'm sure, have witnessed here today. So thank you so much,
Thank you
Prae.
so much,
Thank you.
Sonia.
Thank
This
you,
has
Kat.
been
Thank
amazing.
you so much.
Thank you.
So lucky to have you here. And thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening and for joining in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.